Si no te tengo en persona, entonces te lo envío por texto. Tengo videos y fotos de cuando teníamos.
Freedom of speech is a privilege protected by the First Amendment, and what a lot of people are learning in real time is that privilege has to constantly be fought for. Let's get into it. Look at Roe v. Wade, gone. Look at all the conversations happening across the country regarding various civil rights, denaturalization, and now Trump wants to end birthright citizenship. We better buckle up. It's year 1 of 4, and we can't afford to despair. This is not the time for that. It's time to tap in. With that said, I'm hyped for this week's guest. Eliana is an amazing journalist, activist, educator, and she's my girl, de la mía personal. I love her and I admire her. Eliana is an LA-based Boricua speaking truth to power with her platform, and I'm happy to have locked her in for this week's episode. And later, the Código of the Week is with Melaner, an amazing Dominicana, artist, creative, who's Afro-Latina, defying the odds in the industry, and has advice for the next Black reggaetonera looking to tap into the scene. Se va a dar bueno aquí en Reggaeton con la Gata. I'm super excited because I'm here with una mujer maravillosa de la mía personal, la Eliana Chinea Constanza. If you don't know who she is, then you're sleeping. This girl is an amazing journal, an amazing just advocate, just an amazing educator. I've had the honor of collaborating with her in the past. Estamos en comunidad. She's a badass Boricua who just speaks truth to power. Eliana, thank you so much for being here.
Of course. I always love talking to you, and you've become one of my really good friends outside of social media, so I really appreciate the invite.
No, mi amor, thank you. So, girl, I know you feel me when I say that there's a lot going on in the world, and so yeah, I'm still gonna ask you, how are you doing? Because there's a lot going on in the world. I'm dying to know. Yeah.
Sí, estoy bien. I mean, it's a crazy time in politics. It's a crazy time in Los Angeles, where I'm located right now. When I moved to California, I was excited to be out of red state zone, and in a much more progressive space. But the thing that I didn't realize about California is that it's such a big state, and there's so many different political views here that it's not blue necessarily, quote unquote. It's very mixed. It's very purple, if you will. And you could go 10 miles down the street and find MAGA, or you could go 5 miles the opposite direction and find lefty progressives. You can find socialists down the block. You can go and find your centrist liberals up the street. It really is a huge mixture here. So that was very eye-opening for me. But of course, right now, 2 weeks ago, Trump declared a military occupation in the city of Los Angeles, specifically downtown, because of the anti-ICE uprisings here. And it's been both revolutionary to watch, but also we've been getting attacked. I was tear gassed recently by the LAPD and the LASD. And so it's been interesting. It's definitely felt like a different world.
I'm so sorry. Ooh, I have lashes on, and I'm like, if this gets itchy and I start crying, I cannot. Just to make a little joke. I just can't imagine. I've seen videos, people throwing milk, talking about it's alkaline, going against the acidity, I guess, of the tear gas, and that being relieving. I am not too well versed, if I'm being honest, but the point is, it's horrible. It's horrible. It's it's terrorizing. And so kudos to you for going out there, for educando la gente and just doing everything that you can to be part of progress. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, there is a lot of misinformation when it comes to for instance, a chemical weapon or agent like tear gas.
Please.
Yeah. I mean, I actually, because you made that joke, I actually was wearing lashes.
Yeah, one little feather gets in my eye and I'm like the biggest baby. Never mind an actual chemical agent. Please educate me. What's up?
No, totally. Yeah, no, I was very surprised. It actually, I don't know if this is the typical reaction because it's called tear gas for a reason, right? It will make you cry. But my eyes weren't as affected as my like throat and my lungs were affected. I didn't get nearly the worst of it because I had maneuvered myself out of the way. So I just got one little cloud and then I was out of there. But even that little cloud, like you literally cannot breathe. And your body has a very physical reaction to it. But yeah, my lashes were fine for anybody who's like, I can't wear lashes wear your lashes.
I'm foolish, y'all. No se llevan de mí. No se llevan de mí. No, I appreciate this because it's like I dead ass wouldn't know, but like we know. No, this is crazy. Ay, mi amor. Okay, me and you can literally like chop it up. So I'm gonna stick to the questions, otherwise we're gonna go around the world. Entonces,
sí, vamos a estar aquí todo el día.
But I love it. Entonces, today there's a broad conversation about the complacency of white mestizo Latinos regarding issues that have affected the Black community for years, and their role in that. What's your take?
I mean, it's interesting. So as somebody who is brown, who has ancestry that is very Taino, very indigenous African, El Caribe always has an interesting relationship to race, if you will. You and I have had many conversations about that. And, it's, this moment in time, I will say this moment in time has felt very much like a solidarity effort. I know that there are people online that have, made claims that the Black community isn't supportive of this moment, that, because 8% of Latinos, quote unquote Latinos, which is not a race, so we need to flag that. But 8% of Latinos voted MAGA, and so it's our fault, and, Latinos don't care. That's, as somebody who is on the ground, who has constant conversations with people, both online and in person, that's not what I am seeing. That's not what I'm experiencing. And one of the things that I really want to stress is that immigrants are also not a race. Immigrants come from all over the world. And the immigrants that are the most susceptible to ICE violence are Black and brown Latinos, but also immigrants from across the world. And I always try to bring attention to the fact that our Caribbean siblings in Haiti, in Haiti, and in Cuba just had their temporary protected status removed. And so they are very, very vulnerable to ICE raids right now. And we have a Haitian population, a large Haitian population in California, specifically in Los Angeles and San Diego. I actually did a story about this for the San Diego Voice and Viewpoint, which is a historically Black-owned newspaper, about the Haitian population and how they were trying to prepare for this moment in time way back in December. And so I really want to stress that, yes, anti-Blackness is a thing that happens. It's something that we are constantly battling every single day. If you do not have the Black experience, you have a lot to learn. I have a lot to learn. But there's also so much solidarity in this moment, and the community is banding together to protect all migrants, not just Mexicans, not just brown and white Latinos. They're banding together for their Haitian siblings, for their Cuban siblings, and it's actually a really, really beautiful moment. So, I can't speak to, anybody's personal views, but I can speak to what I see, and what I see is really beautiful.
Word up. Shout out to Janelle Martinez, who I've also interviewed, and she's on the pod, and she actually said the same. She's like, it's a lie, pretty much. And there's levels to this, right? Because it's like, there's no way, and this, you acknowledge that. I'm not taking away from, I'm adding, right? For those who are listening, that we can never ever, or we should never subscribe to revisionist history, right? And historian here, historically, like, sure, there has been solidarity, and also historically, and I think this is also what I've been paying very close attention to, because a lot of people are acting like, it's that question that you posed in the beginning, like, Black people aren't showing support. I'm like, do people not understand that, like, a lot of the freedoms that we have are because of Black people? First of all, Black people in this moment, whatever break they want to take, valid, whatever, you know what I mean? Because there's enough people who are physically involved. There's different ways to protest. There's different ways to be helpful. Everyone don't need to be outside. So, and ¿qué te digo? There's people online doing their thing, in person, whatever. I need it. But one thing I've been paying attention to get concise here, because I know, is that there's a revisionist history, I would say, initiative that's like going about right now, where people are like, if I even saw this question by like a prominent Latina entrepreneur. She was like, if Latinos said that we're not going to protest during the Black Lives Matter protests of George Floyd's murder, what would y'all be saying? I'm like, first of all, y'all did it. I wrote an article, bro. Like, I wrote an article for that mezcla because I felt crazy. I was scrolling on Instagram. I saw, I won't say his name, a reggaetonero on a jet ski. I saw another one literally at the strip club, and then everybody else was protesting. I'm like, so there's no protest where y'all at? And I was like, y'all are in Miami. There's no protest in Miami. There's not a protest in Miami. So that, to get to the point here, I feel like there's like a lot of revisionist nonsense that's going on where like people are like, oh, but what if we did it? I'm like, this is a time for, PSA for white Latinos who are listening, who swear you're not part of the problem. Look in the mirror, because if you're only starting to get involved now, you've been part of the problem. It's giving, people have been calling things out, and that's when people like me are called dramática, intensa. I don't know which one I like more, dramática, intensa. I need to put it on a t-shirt. Pero
a mí me gusta intensa. Eso es,
yes. Merch coming soon. But like, you feel me? It's like, for years, soy intenso. ¿Por qué tú estás hablando de eso? La vida está buena. I'm like, vida no está buena para todo el mundo. So, speaking as an educated leader of sorts, what words do you have for people who are trying to turn that page, right? Like, there are people like, okay, you know what? I haven't been doing enough, but I want to. What words do you have for them?
Yeah, I think this is a good moment to start getting creative. I think that's what LA, the community here, has really shown the rest of the nation, is how to get creative when you are feeling like you want to help to either protect people or be there for people, be supportive. But again, maybe you're not able-bodied and you can't physically go to a protest. It is a dangerous environment. I'm not going to lie. It's been increasingly dangerous as the days have passed, and not everybody is able to do that. Sometimes people want to bring their families and their kids, and they have to know the risks of that now, because it's not like how it used to be. You used to be able to just bring your whole family to a protest and you would be completely fine. The cops would stay in the outer edges of the, corners. Sometimes the cops would even escort the front of the line. That's not the case anymore. The cops are being increasingly violent. And so a lot of people are questioning, what do I do? What can I do? And I think it's a really good time to start being creative and follow grassroots movements, organizations that are, really working heavily within communities, who could either use donations or use supplies, or you can start a group chat. Safety group chats are really popular right now, specifically on Signal, where if somebody needs support, for instance, if you are a lawyer, if you are a nurse, if you are a doctor, there are lots of people who are on the ground who could utilize your services. If you want to provide them pro bono, for instance, where you don't have to be on the ground, but you can provide support as much as possible. And there's a lot of different creative ways. I was asked to speak at a panel last night for filmmakers. So not press, but filmmakers who weren't really sure how to show up in this moment. Like, how do I document this in a way that's actually going to serve the community and not sensationalize things? And I thought that was great. I thought that was a really beautiful conversation to have about, how can we show up in this moment in a way that doesn't continue to perpetuate the lie that everyone's just violent criminals out here and they just want to start a riot. So, you have to get creative. I think artists are really well equipped in this moment to, do art installations in your music, make sure that your lyrics reflect this moment. And that's a great way of not only protesting, but also showing solidarity.
I'm so glad you brought up this concept of criminality. I actually did a video the other day because, oh my God. And I'll let you chime in on this for those of y'all who are interested. Just please watch the video. It's pinned on my Instagram and TikTok. But it's in essence, I got frustrated because, and I even, not to throw my mom under the bus, but I had to sit her down in the sala and put Netflix on and put on 13th and have her watch it from beginning to end. And I put it in Spanish so her Dominican boyfriend could watch it too. And I was like, you guys are not going to use this term criminal or delincuente anymore in this house. Like, I can't, because, how do you define a criminal? And so I'm super glad you brought that up, because Latinos, this is, part of the larger, reason as to why there's been such a disconnect between the Latino community and the Black community, because there's this idea of like good and bad, right? And what a lot of people aren't digesting is like, what are these superficial determining factors are essentially what keeps the system in place to like keep all of us oppressed. And by us like perpetuating these concepts of criminality and criminal, delincuente, maleante, it doesn't do any of us any good. So thank you so much for that. And yes, mi gente, I will shout out 13th any chance I can, because it's so informative. And otra vez, y avance de Eliana, que la que sabe. I want to get into Senator Padilla, right? Because I feel like there's levels to being arrested, right? Being arrested, can be like, I'm removing you from an area to put you in another area because I simply want to physically remove you, right? There's that aspect of things. It could also be like, I want to put you into the system and I know you're vulnerable, right? And in this case, he's a senator, so... Oh my goodness, Eliana is saying the things. We'll be right back, more with her interview after these messages. Así que no se muevan. There's the aspect of silencing that was going on here, because he was at a press conference, right? So, I mean, and these type of instances, they're becoming more and more frequent, right? I don't know, I would just love to hear your take on this, because, like, freedom of speech is under attack, on an increasingly frightening basis. And we can't stop aplicando presión, pero a la vez, it is getting scarier, So I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, what happened to Senador Padilla was like really egregious. And I think it really goes to show just how authoritarian this regime really has become. I mean, it really is becoming a regime. It's no longer... let's make fun of MAGA as a cult. It's like now they have the power and they're enacting that power and they're abusing that power even against other politicians. And one of the things that I noticed right before he started asking questions of Noam is that she had said, maybe about a minute before he interrupted her, she literally said, we are here in Los Angeles, she meant, we are here to liberate the city from the socialists. That is a very specific type of rhetoric. And that is why he decided to step in, because he had been listening the whole time. He was already in the room, it's not like he barged in the room and just tried to storm her, desk or whatever, the podium. He had been listening, and what he heard was crazy. It was bananas. And so I think, his detainment, technically it's a detainment. It was an attempted arrest, but they didn't, technically arrest him. They did put handcuffs on him, which means he's being detained. But it's an illegal detainment at the same time, because I've watched a lot of lawyers break down that moment. And almost all of them say not only did he ask why they were doing what they were doing, not a single officer who attempted this arrest provided any sort of information as to what they were doing or why they were doing it. And in fact, he later said, actually last night when he was speaking on the House floor, he literally said, I was escorted into that room. So I had a right to be there. He didn't barge into the room. He didn't even know the press conference was happening until they escorted him into it. And so the fact that was the immediate response just goes to show you not only the regime's rhetoric, but it also goes to show just how willing law enforcement is in this moment to be a tool and be weaponized against other political leaders. And that is what scares everybody about dictatorships and authoritarianism, because that's what makes it dangerous. It's not just the words of the politician. It's not just the words of the people who support it. It's the fact that they are able to abuse power and authority in order to enact those words into action. And so that's what we were all seeing. And after that happened, it circulated throughout LA and the community, and people went back to the federal building and protested. And another thing that I want to say as well is that Padilla is a Democrat. He identifies with that party. There are Democrats in the city, right? The mayor and the governor are both Democrats. Mm-hmm. But they have also weaponized authority and law enforcement against protesters just as much as the Trump regime is weaponizing the military against us. So I think that needs to be really clear for people, is that LA is under occupation and under attack from both parties. And of course, the Democrats will say all the nice things and say, no, we're just trying to keep the peace. No, we're just trying to get a few of the, violent rioters out of the way, the instigators, the agitators. They'll say all the things to distract from the fact that, no, you are giving the LAPD and the LASD very specific orders because you don't want the military to take action. And so you want to embolden the police to be even more aggressive so that the Marines don't start shooting people. That's really the rhetoric here. So we're getting attacked both from the Republicans and the Democrats, really, because every protest that I have been to has been peaceful. It has been fine. It's not until the police get involved that everything becomes extremely dangerous. So, yeah, I think Padilla, tried to do the right thing, but I think he also needs to call out other Democratic leaders, specifically in Los Angeles, because this is setting a precedent for the rest of the country. Now we're seeing things out of New York, the NYPD kind of giving LAPD a run for their money in terms of violence, right? So it's a very, very interesting time. But I think if we are going to call the Democrats the opposition party, they're not opposing much at the moment.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Thank you. I wouldn't change a word or anything. Jesus Christ. You hit the nail on the head. I've been frustrated, if I'm being honest with you, because I'm not an influencer. If I was, I'd be rich right now. I would be. With all the clout I have, with all the partnerships I've had, I'd be super rich right now. I'm not there yet. I'm a historian. I'm a journalist for all intents and purposes, and I'm a producer, and I am a multimedia artist. And I only say this, I'm not shitting on influencers. Y'all got money. I want money. I need to get like y'all in that sense. But in the sense of spreading awareness, me da un pique siempre, because there's no understanding, no respect, no regard for journalistic integrity, and I don't play about that. When you open your mouth into a mic, it is a privilege. And especially for people to pay attention to you, to learn from you and then to repeat the rhetoric that you are then, starting, it's such a privilege. I got a degree, y'all. Like, this is not como que vibes online. So with that said, we're in a time where spreading information is of the essence. You know just as well as me that the journalistic landscape has shifted so much. From one moment to the next, everyone's fired. I feel like I don't have friends in certain publications where I used to have them. I don't know who to email anymore. A lot of my pitches are thrown down because they're just a little bit too much to the left. There's a heavy wave of conservativeness. So my direct question here is, what is if you had to tell the people something in regards to like taking this whole having a mic seriously, because tangibly where I'm even getting this from is there's an increased como que rabia that's growing online because there's people like, these people are not saying anything, and there's layers to that. And then there's also like, people who made being a performative activist their whole personality, but now that things are hard, it's silence, So I would just love to hear your take on this and advice, because there are people who I don't think that they grasp the severity of their words when they were speaking to certain topics. But now that the reality and online is matching, they're like, oh my God, I'm in the middle of something political. What would you say to those people who are like, okay, I want to do right, I'm scared, I would love to hear your take.
Yeah, I actually, the few influencers that I still follow, I've actually seen them struggle with this, and they've been very vocal. I think the first part is to just be authentic about why you're struggling with this moment in time. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. Of course, you're going to get people who say, this shouldn't be a struggle. You should know what to do. You should know what to say. Everyone's going to have an opinion. It is what it is. But I think not being honest about, the struggle, I think that is what causes people to feel like you're being inauthentic, or everything that you've done in the past has been performative. And so, if you really truly do not care about this moment, can't relate, can't relate. I don't know what that level of privilege is like. So congratulations, I guess. But if you are genuinely like, I want to do something, I want to say something, but, I'm scared or I'm conflicted, I think it's a really important time to just really start getting out there and talking to community. Once you start hearing people's authentic stories and where they're coming from and how this moment in time is affecting them, I think you'll start to get a little fire under your butt. And for me, people always ask me like, how you're so brave for going out to these protests, and you're so brave for, for me, it's like, this is life. It doesn't feel like bravery for me. It feels like this is a moment to document. This is history. And, if a mother can go out with her child and exercise her First Amendment right, why would I stay home for that? If they feel like this is an important moment to be out there, why do I feel like it's okay for me to stay home and just be okay with their struggle? So I think it's a moment of reflection for a lot of people. But, I have a lot to say about influencing, because I have friends who are influencers, and the friends that I have been able to keep that are within that world are the ones who don't necessarily subscribe to the capitalistic nature of you have to censor yourself in order to keep your bag. And that for me is really important, to follow people who, yes, might, get their sponsored deals and like have their ads or whatever, but they're also being very relatable in this moment of, look, shit's crazy. We need to talk about this. Here's what's going on. And those are the people that, audiences trust. And those are the people I trust. So if capitalism has dug its heels into your wallet so far to where you are censoring yourself, I think you need to find a different path.
Going into, not for nothing, just for the sake of time, Reggaeton, because se supone que this is a reggaeton podcast. ¿Qué te digo? I'm dying to know, as a Boricua, what's your take on the fact that Bad Bunny skipped the US? I thought that shit was gangster. What is your take? Go off, please.
I know. I saw a lot of the commentary on that. You know, I have a complicated relationship with Bad Bunny. Everyone knows this. It's not a popular take. You know, I think in terms of Bad Bunny, I think I love that he continuously stands on business when it comes to our island. Like, he has not wavered. He is very committed to showing not only our struggle but our joy. He is committed to making a political, commentary out of his art and his lyrics, and I think that is why people really, really like him. Of course, there are other things that I disagree with, but when that was announced, like his tour was announced and the United States was nowhere in it, I, like everyone else, was like, baller move. But then I saw Spain in there.
Wait, pause. I've never thought I'd do this in my life, but I'm gonna defend Spain real quick. Spain been doing the things. As far as Palestine is concerned, I am sorry, but like I might turn into one of them Latinos who needs to go get their Spanish passport because soy española. Nah, but Spain has been doing the things to the point that I've been like, hell yeah, like, and they have been setting an example in Europe. So I don't know, easy on Spain right now, because they've been doing the things. Like, in comparison to how we're doing right now, I don't know.
Yeah. I feel you. I totally feel you. They have been very, very good at, calling a genocide, talking about the liberation of Palestine. They have been good about that. And in mismo tiempo, though, it wasn't that long ago that the Prince of Spain went to Puerto Rico and for Columbus Day to celebrate the 125 years of colonization. No. So, let's not.
Oh my God.
And Spain still owes all of Latin America reparations.
Absolutely.
So there's that. But it is what it is. But I thought it was a good, solid move. And that's what I mean by you if you're an artist, now is the time to get creative. He didn't make an announcement about that. He didn't say, I'm not gonna go to the US, because he just
like a gangster. Just yesterday I commented for Variety because they were like, so why did you speak US? And he was like, it's unnecessary. Sorry. That was gangster. That was gangster. I dig it. Like, everybody knows that I keep my foot on his neck a little bit. It's also England. I just want to see black people. That's all. But like, I do give that man his flowers. Donde se merece. So Bad Bunny, good shit. Like, I love it.
It's a solid move.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so, a lovely note to end this on. So, for those listening, really quick, you know that I lecture, I go to different universities to talk about the parallels of marginalization through diaspora and through people of color. And so I've been able to connect through a lot of my lectures the parallels between, Puerto Rico and Palestine and the systems that, are interconnected here in the United States. Oppression is interconnected. And it's funny, I made a TikTok on it. It's very different giving a lecture where you can give context and people have to hear you out and just talk and they just listen versus 90 seconds on a TikTok. It's very different. Pero nonetheless, I tried and I think I landed. I'm gonna try it again. But my point is, as a Boricua yourself, I would just love to hear, I would love for people to hear it from you, from naturally Boricua, like, ¿cuál es ese paralelo? Because some people are like, Gata, are you serious? Perreo y Palestina? And I'm like, yes, Perreo y Palestina. Go off, Eliana.
Yeah, no, this is a super important topic. Voy a estar en la isla literalmente mañana. And I really plan on visiting a lot of the community that has been on the front lines there. People need to be aware that there are Boricua Palestinos, right? Like these people exist. And the parallels between colonization and military occupation in Palestine and how that relates to Puerto Rico. I think having Palestinian friends and conversing with them, they know what occupation looks like. And when they look at Puerto Rico and the situation in Puerto Rico, they're like, oh, you guys know the struggle. You guys know what we're going through because that's what you're going through. You guys constantly have power outages. They cut our power all the time. You guys don't have access to clean water. We don't have access to clean water either. You guys have a corrupt educational system. We know what that's like. So, these parallels, even though we don't have, checkpoints, the U.S. military isn't doing checkpoints on the island. They're not checking your IDs if you want to go from Arecibo to San Juan, they're not doing that. But it's a different level of occupation. It's an economic occupation. It's a systemic occupation. And this is something that's very relatable to Palestinos. And so the solidarity is very, very, very strong. And I feel like it wasn't that long ago before the island did have a military occupation and a very strong military presence. Now there's been some indoctrination, of course, like the military loves to recruit Boricuas on the island. And there are a lot of Puerto Ricanos in the U.S. military and the Marines and the Air Force. So we just have to acknowledge that this is an unfortunate reality of colonization, is that you get indoctrinated and assimilated into your oppressive system. And so those are conversations that I know my family is constantly having. I know other people's families are having, but the solidarity between Palestine is very strong, and I'm grateful that Boricuas have not subscribed to the Zionist propaganda.
Absolutely. Another mic drop. Eliana, is there anything I haven't asked you or something you want to comment on that I haven't asked you that you want to say?
Just to kind of reiterate the point is that this moment in time we should have had a wake-up call a long time ago, but I think now that we're in the thick of it, in the thick of this regime, a lot of people are panicking and a lot of people are scared. And so I think, as much as you might want to give into your fear, I think this is the time to get courageous and keep pushing forward, because the revolutions of the past, whether it's been in Haiti or whether it's been in the United States, there have been multiple revolutions over time that have happened even when violence has been the first reaction by the system. And we have been able to get through, as a human society all across the world, people have been able to get through these times collectively and in solidarity. So now is not a time to sit back. Now is the time to keep pushing forward.
I think that's a lovely note to end this on. God knows how many DMs I get per day where they're like, Gata, did you see what Donald Trump did? I'm like, yes, babe, I see it right there with you. And so, no, lovely note to end this on. This isn't anything new. History is repeating, sadly. I don't think there's anything new. I think there are evolutions of things. And so what we're seeing is just like the contemporary version of something that has happened in the past. And so thank you so much for those words and for being here. Mi gente, make sure to follow her everywhere. Show her all the love. Tell her I sent you. Mi gente, that's all the time that we have for Reggaeton con la Gata. Nos vemos en la próxima. Ciao. Mi gente, you know what time it is. It's time for some la la la. Oh my goodness, speaking with Eliana was such a treat because she's a girl who gets it. The girls who get it, get it. And I mean, shout out again to her for all of her work and everything that she does para educar la gente. De verdad, una de la mía personal. All right, there are so many things to touch up on What's nice is that, you know, she spoke so clearly and that it was just super easy to really take in what she was saying. But just to reiterate, mi gente, yes, this is not the time to despair. I super get it. We turn on the news. Every day it's something. Diddy gets off acquitted. It's like there's no hope in anything. Trump, it's like he opens a book, he puts his finger on a page, there's an idea, he opens his eyes, he's like, that's what we're rolling with today. He's on a roll, and it's exhausting. Nadie se le puede negar. Not to mention foreign relations, not to mention everything else. And it's super easy to get wrapped up, but at the end of the day, you know, we are going to get through it the way that we have throughout history, by getting through it, by taking it one piece at a time. With that said, super sticking to what Eliana said in regards to ICE and their occupation of LA. Yes, that's the terminology that ought to be used, mi gente, in regards to it being an actual occupation, because it is. What else would you call it when the National Guard shows up and they won't leave? That's literally what that is. The Marines walking around. And so, yeah, it starts in one state, it'll spread to various others. Mi gente, tenemos que ser pendiente y conscientes de lo que está pasando con otros, and just pretty much just watch out for each other. It's been really nice to like see people engage in de-arresting tactics. If you're not hip on what to do, I implore you to check in with your local community members, your local activists, and keep your phones at home while you're tapping into a lot of these workshops and whatnot. And the last thing I'll say that I feel like is helpful here is mi gente Latino, said in J-Lo voice. I feel like, you know, just reiterating from the conversation, we ought to be really thinking about this word criminal and really be thinking about what it really means for us to have quote unquote black and brown solidarity. What does that even mean? I feel like, not for nothing, being una negra, Latina, black and brown solidarity to me honestly makes me laugh. In regards to like it at first glance, it's something that has existed over time. And the laughing is not because of its foundation, no, but pretty much what it's been turned into as a conversation online. I want people like PSA to understand that just because you're becoming hip to something online doesn't mean that it's new. I feel like there needs to be a larger dialogue in regards to, you know, what efforts have been made between Black and Latino people throughout the course of time. Because again, if you're going to take away anything from this episode, from this conversation, from this podcast really, is that all of our privileges are things that are fought and earned. People bled and sweat for the privileges that we enjoy today. And so, you know, I feel like in real time, a lot of people are quickly learning as to like how hard these things were fought for and what it means for us to have them in the first place and to enjoy them. You see, mi gente, it was just a serious conversation, so I'm trying to keep this on a serious tone. I feel like hay mucha farándula allá afuera, and we will take it to a lighter note with what is coming up next. Pero por la, this is what I got, mi gente. Take it or leave it. But I do hope you take it. Whew, that was a mouthful. Mi gente, we'll be back with some códigos right after these messages. Así que no se mueva.
¿Será que cuando prendemos suben las ganas de comernos? Yeah. Escapándome en tu piel era el viaje, prendiendo uno baby pa' que te relaje.
Vine par de copas con el dulce, me levanté y te dije fuck what you say. I'm sick and tired of the games baby you play. Ya no quiero saber de ti.
Y me bloqueó, ella dijo ese cabrón se odió.
Y ahora, mi gente, it's time for el código de la semana, the código of the week, right here with Melaner. It's gonna be good. Let's get into it.
La influencia que ustedes tienen encima de mí, like, I can't deny. Yeah. I love it so much. Yo quiero saber, ¿cuáles son unos ejemplos? Si me puedes contar una historia de cómo alguien te ha ayudado a ti. ¿Cuál es el código de eso?
Ok, bueno, yo diría, yo he tenido el placer de tener mucha ayuda, que no mucha gente la tiene. Y en un momento, o sea, yo siempre uso a mis padres como un ejemplo, porque no todo el mundo tiene padres que aceptan la música, que eso es algo difícil, especialmente en la cultura hispana y dominicana más. Que tú dices, yo quiero hacer música, and they're like, what? No, you're gonna be a doctor.
Sí.
So mis padres siempre han estado ahí cuando yo necesito ayuda con la música or even financially, you know, because music is very expensive, to be able to pay for all that stuff, and I've been able to kind of like have them to help me, and call them, which I feel very proud of because not everybody has that, you know.
Claro, claro. No, me encanta eso.
I've been talking Spanish, so.
No, estamos en sabes que ahora en lo que te sientes como, honestly. I'm just trying to bust out my Spanish speaking chops if you're gonna be. But we bilingual in this bitch, it don't matter. In which case, you told me about one cheat code, and I would love to know an example of how you put yourself on.
Yeah, how I put myself on is literally not being afraid to do things by myself. Because a lot of people like want to get approval or get, you know, okay, you can do this. No, if I want to do something, if I know this person is going to be at this event and I want to meet them, I'm going to show up. And, you know, I'm putting myself on because not everybody's going to open the door for me, so I'm going to try and open the door for myself. And especially being, you know, a Latina of color, it's already a little harder for us. So not only do we have to battle with being Latinas, being a woman, but then also being a woman of color. So we have 3 things against us. So a lot of people don't open the door the same way for us. So sometimes we just gotta open it for ourselves.
Definitely, definitely. You're saying of color, but I'm like, girl, give me black.
Yeah,
we are black.
We are, yeah.
No, but I feel you because al final it's like what you're getting at is showing up.
Yep.
You show up for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you make sure that at the very least you are at the, if everything else fails, at least you were at the location. At least you were at the event. At least you showed up and made sure that, all right, you know this is going to be happening. They're in the room. I'm going to be in the room.
Yeah.
I love that.
You're trying because the worst thing is to have esa duda. Mm-hmm. Like, wow, what would happen if I would have tried?
Mm-hmm. Definitely, definitely. And it's not always easy. It's something that, you know, requires much investigation. Like you gotta be very diligente of like what's going on, how things move.
Yeah.
What's that process been like for you, like learning, you know, what that even means, you know?
It's just been a day by day process, to be honest, because you never really know what to expect in each scenario, you know? So it's really just having enough faith in myself and having enough faith in my talent and what I have to offer. And hoping that, you know, I can pitch myself well enough for somebody to either want to work with me or want to listen to what I have to say.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. ¿Eres dominicana?
Y orgullosa. Because, you know, as Dominicans, we're not proud to be Dominican.
Oh, I love Dominicans. I love the Dominican Republic. Tell me about your Dominicanidad and how that influences these cheat codes. Porque el joseo dominicano es diferente. El joseo dominicano es diferente, para decirlo menos. I would love to know how that influences that también.
Yeah. So, I mean, tú sabes que nosotros los dominicanos tenemos el tigueraje dominicano in our blood. We don't even, but no. It's a part of my identity. So I'm huge on mi cultura. And although I'm American because I was born here, first generation, but I'm very proud of my roots and incredibly proud of my family and everything just they did to get here. So it's influenced me because I want to put on my fellow other Latinas that are first generation and are kind of figuring it out on our own because we were born here. You know, our families were born in La Isla and we were born here, so we're the first generation to figure it out. Mm-hmm. And then our kids are already going to have it figured out because we did it for them, you know?
We sweat for them.
Yeah. So I want to be able to just kind of open more doors for Latinas that felt like me because, you know, I felt like I didn't really have somebody to look up to in that sense, you know? Because being a first generation is a lot of pressure on us to just be successful.
Definitely, definitely. I'm a huge fan, of course. So I already know that Melaner is an artist, a creative, and her primary passion is music. Mm-hmm. For those who don't know, or are still getting to know you, and who are about to love you, talk to me about your passion. What does it mean for you to create, you know, music? And what does it mean for you to kind of navigate the music industry? Because es una loquera, para decirlo absolute menos, right?
Yeah.
What is that for you?
So creating music is is for me is far more than just a passion. So like I've had it in my blood since I was like 4 years old, and it's never a job. It's more like me sale naturalmente. And even when I look back at me as a child, I always had that. I always had it in me. So when I create music, I go into whatever, a session or whatever with a mind of just creating something beautiful and not thinking about, oh, I have to create something like for this reason or for this reason or for this reason, because then you kind of close your door, you put yourself in a bubble. So I go in and I just try to be as open-minded as possible, because at the end of the day, people are going to love your music because you love it. And if you don't love it, nobody's going to love it, you know?
Can you highlight to me an aspect of the industry that you think works very well?
To be honest, I don't even think I can answer that, because, I'm so focused on just the things that I want to change in the industry. So I don't even know what I feel like works, because it's always changing. And especially...
Speak specifically, tell me.
Especially now with how, it's just way so competitive, music. I feel like it's way more competitive than it used to be.
Is it like the pace?
The pace, yes, because now music is accessible to everyone, right? So you don't have to go into a studio to create music like you used to. Like anybody can be an artist now. So it's incredibly more competitive. So every day is changing. Every day is something new. So it's just, for me, it's just been a matter of staying on track with everything that's happening. But I feel like there's way more negatives than positives that we have to change in the especially in the Latino music industry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's your experience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In which case, okay, I don't want you to give all your gems away, but you said you do want to change some things. Can you give me an example?
I want to change how many women are in the room.
Okay.
And I say that because when we go to all, even a studio session, you can be the only woman in the room. You could be the only songwriter woman. And I'm speaking specifically for Latino, in the Latino community, the Latin music community. I've been in rooms where I'm the only woman. And it shouldn't be like that. Because, having a woman's point of view in this industry is incredibly important. And it's going to change the conversations that are being had. It's going to change how many women are represented, even women of color represented in the Latino market, just by including more of us women to have a say.
I hear that completely.
Yeah.
You got this. But also, what's going through my mind is, as we've, established earlier, you are a woman. You are Latina. You're black. The way that systems work, just period, is to make it a hell of a lot harder for people who check these boxes.
Right.
So, more than anything, I'm very proud of you for putting on for yourself and being able to elevate in the way that you have. This girl be on Instagram dancing. I'm like, yo, I need to go, get a choreographer or something. I need to start, practicando, diablo. No, but the physical labor that you put into yourself, there's an effort, a genuine love que se demuestra en todo tu contenido and, in your music. So, I'm very happy for that. And my point and where I'm going is, I also... As I'm the type of person that I love to help people, and then sometimes I'm like, oh, I'll help you later, because of those things that we've highlighted. It's Melaner season. You know what I mean? I want to see you up first and then. Because you deserve it.
I'm gonna be there. I'm walking into every door.
Take it.
I'm running in through that door.
Take it. Do it.
No, it's there's a lot. What's great about right now and everything that both of us are doing is that we're creating these conversations, and people are actually listening.
Yes,
right?
They are.
People are listening. People are listening, and people are realizing how underrepresented us Black Latinas are. And you look at even the women and the top women in the Latino in Latin music, and a lot of them don't represent how Latinas actually look. You go to our countries, and majority of us are black, and we're not represented in the media. There's nobody that's looking at the media and feels like, wow, I could be that, they feel like they have to change or they have to look a certain way in order to fit. And it's not like that at all.
Definitely. Really quickly, if you had to drop a gem, ¿cuál es un código que tú quieres que la gente sepa? What is a cheat code? Give younger Melaner who's about to go on its journey a cheat code?
I say this every single time. Don't live your life in fear. And that is probably the most important thing that I've ever learned. I have gotten to, and I still have a lot to, get to, but I've gotten to where I'm at least at this point, is because I have not been afraid to hang with the guys. I've not been afraid to put myself out there. I've not been afraid to introduce myself because this person is, higher up than me. Like, I have been fearless in a lot of what I'm doing, and it's worked in my favor because fear is always going to block us. It's never going to allow us to, fear does not want us to get to the top. So the second that we say, what? Bump that. I'm going to go do that. You start opening doors for yourself. And I have literally been living that in my life.
I love that código. Melaner, thank you so much for being here en los códigos de Reggaeton con la Gata.
Thank you.
A la próxima. Ey.
Diablo, men, ese código sí era una cosa. We'll be back with more rapidito, hearing from one of you right after these messages. Don't move.
Hi, my name is Jackie Marty. I am the creator of La Tinta del Reggaeton from Denver, Colorado, and soy mexicana.
Hey, thank you, Jackie, for being here. For those who are listening, Jackie is a pioneer of sorts in that she has cultivated a space for Latinos in Colorado, of all places. So I'm dying to know, like, how did that even get started? What is reggaeton like in Colorado? What's the story of La 32? That's 3 questions. How did you get started?
I got started. Well, it was all an idea. It came to me while we were in lockdown during COVID, and it was for. Well, I've always loved reggaeton since I was 7 years old. Since I heard of General in 1995 on my TV, I fell in love. And so that's how it started. And then during COVID, I got this idea because we had nothing to do. So I got this idea to do a Bad Bunny night because there was a lot of gentrification in my neighborhood where I had grown up. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to solamente quiero perrear otra vez con mis amigas. And so that happened during COVID. I got the idea, and then I waited until the mask mandate was over. And I threw the party. I did a Bad Bunny night, and that was the first party I ever did.
I love that. What is a Bad Bunny night? I see that as a theme popping up all over the country. Like, what does that mean?
So it's basically the theme is Bad Bunny and his music. So the entire night is centered around Bad Bunny's music. That's what it is.
Oh my God, as a DJ, I can't imagine, but those who love it, ¿me entiende? I don't discriminate. With that said, I think that's super dope, Jackie. Talk to me about La 32 Reggaeton. ¿De dónde viene el nombre? Where does the name come from? Porque La 32, I think that's so specific, and I love that. Like, La 32. That sounds like fun. Where is the story?
So the story behind it son mis abuelitos. It's my family que they immigrated from Mexico to Denver. Mi abuelito came first, and he was in the Bracero program in the 1950s. And he came to Denver in the late 1960s, early 70s. And so he was a dishwasher in the north side. That's a neighborhood where we grew up in, Denver. And so the restaurant that he was a dishwasher in was next to a theater called Holiday Inn and is located on 32nd Avenue. And so growing up, mi abuelito, he would always be like, oh, you know, vamos a la 32, vas a ir a la 32, like everything was la 32. It was like a hub for Latinos. There were like restaurants, there were like CD stores, like cassette stores, if you remember. And so there was like a lot of culture. We would be cruising, mans would be cruising on in la 32. So there was a lot. It was a Latino, it was a Latino neighborhood. Now it's gentrified. So that's where it comes from.
I love that. That's like so homey, so endearing. Like I love that the grandparents are like involved. Like I love that. That's so beautiful and so thoughtful.
Oh, thank you.
I feel like that really speaks to you. Like that's so nice. And so yendo because se supone que this is a reggaeton podcast. So I'm dying to know, you know, who are you listening to? You're a curator. You curate a whole night. Like, and for those listening, like every night's not Bad Bunny night. This girl switches it up. I feel like every time I go on La 32 Instagram, it's like, what she got going on now? Oh, that sounds fun. Oh, that's something else. So like, I'm dying to know, like, who do you listen to? Like on a personal note, like, which are the artists that got your attention?
Besides Un Verano Sin Ti, that I listen to religiously almost every day. I listen to Omar Courtz a lot. I love Omar Courtz, and I love his album Primera Musa is Chef's Kiss. I loved it. So I listened to him. I also love De La Rose. I really like her. So love Raúl Alejandro. He's my favorite. But yeah, Omar Courtz is definitely on there. I love him.
Si tú podías elegir, like, who's gonna be on a song, like, it's Jackie's song, it's Jackie's creative direction, and you can pick who the artists are gonna be, like, to collab, who would it be, dead or alive?
Oh, it's because I'm very old school. I mean, since the 90s, so that's a hard one. Well, I'm gonna go with my favorites. I would go with Don Omar y Wisin y Yandel.
Okay, and you would see them on a song together?
Yeah, they've done the MySpace. Yeah, I would.
Okay. Oh, she knows her shit. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, girl. She said we need a 2.0.
Yeah, they're just my all-time. Yeah, now it'd be like about TikTok, you know. They're just my all-time favorites. Always my number ones. Yeah, I just love.
Love it. Same. Apparently, I like love Wisin y Yandel to the point where every year for my Spotify rap, they're like my number one listen to. It's really funny.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
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 So I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, they're the best.
And so, Jackie, you're a proud Latina, a proud Mexicana in Denver, Colorado. There's a lot going on right now. Would you want to comment on anything that's going on right now?
Let's see. Yes, I'm obviously on the whole abolish ICE. So I don't agree with what they're doing, and I just absolutely detest the violence against our community. And they've only been around, I mean, they've only been around for 22 years. So we can definitely abolish them. We don't need them. We were fine without them for 200 years. They're really unnecessary. It's just unnecessary violence and chaos that they create and how they terrorize our communities, all immigrants. It's terrible.
I appreciate that, girl. Y'all heard it. Like, they only been existing for 22 years. Heavy on that part because exactly.
Yeah, so it's like, whatever. We don't need, they're very disposable. Bye.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. And so, my last question is, considering all that's going on in culture right now, what do you want to see more of as a fan of reggaeton? And what do you want to go away, like, as a fan of reggaeton?
I would love to see more women in general, just más mujeres dominating the scene as artists, as creators, as event organizers, promoters. I just want to see more women in the business. I think that's very important. I think I'm like the only girl doing what I'm doing in Denver. So it'd be so nice just to have other women, around me. Also making the calls, owning the event spaces, just having more power and more of a say in the industry. Like, I would love to see our point of view out there a lot more, because the way that we go about, organizing events is completely different than men. It's just extremely different. Everything we do, it's like the polar opposite of how we do it compared to men. So I'd just love to see more women. That'd be so nice.
Jackie, thank you so much for being here. Rapidito, mi gente, make sure to follow La 32 Reggaeton. Or you tell them, Jackie, where can people follow you?
You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok at La 32 Reggaeton.
Hey! Mi
Thank
gente,
you.
that's all the time we got for Rapidito today. See you next time. Hasta la próxima.
Oli, tan tan kilan tan tan.
Mi corazonzones. Tú sabes qué hora es. You know what time it is. It's time for The Flowers. Reggaeton con la Gata podcast is an iHeart Media production, co-executive produced by Nuria of Shake It Easy Media. Love you, Nuria. My producer is Grace Gonzalez. Te quiero mucho, Grace. Edited by Sebastian Payan, El Duro. Music by Javi Vibes, La Vibra. And I don't know what I would do without my amazing production assistants, Naomi Acevedo and Kayla Eccleston. I'm your host, Gata, and I will see you next time here in Reggaeton con la Gata.